Hi everyone, welcome back. In this episode we are continuing with the initial trip to our abandoned 250-year-old watermill, clearing things out so we can get down to the business of restoration. We bought the mill as is, with piles of the previous owner's stuff inside, as well as rubbish and bird droppings everywhere. Not the best first impression, I know, but sometimes the most worn-out buildings tell the best stories. We knew that this project would be a big job, but before we did anything else we wanted to tidy up, clear out the interior, and above all, deal with the smell inside. Clearing away the refuse would finally allow us to see the building itself under all the chaos, take measurements we would need for our architectural designs, and properly assess all the nooks and crannies the building had to offer, and there are many. We spent several days sorting everything into bulk bags, from tires to heaters and polystyrene. There are only 6 hours of sunlight a day during winter on the island, even less if it's raining. With the short days we had to rush to get things moved outside. As we had limited time available on our first trip, we only managed to make progress on the ground and middle floor. We didn't even get to touch the top floor. We piled all the bags into one area of the garden and will organise a skip from the mainland once we start removing the roof. Because transport between islands is not cheap, we did not really want to order a skip more than once. As the walls and floors slowly started to appear from beneath the debris, we met many of the island's residents as they were walking their dogs by the mill or dropping by after they heard about the sale through the grapevine. It was also great to be able to meet some of the people whom we had talked to on the telephone before we purchased the mill. Without their help, advice and general friendliness in the face of some very strange questions, we wouldn't have had the confidence to buy the mill without seeing it first. Each person we met provided us with a new and interesting piece of information about the mill and the islands. It was particularly interesting to hear about some of the past millers. When the mill was still in operation, the miller, or possibly one of his staff, would have had to walk a mile to the weir at the start of the week in winter, open the sluice to allow water to flow into the mill. In the summer they did this every morning, closing it off every evening to conserve water. It would take a couple of hours for the water to get the wheel running from when the sluice was open. One of the last millers fell down through the grain hoist and never really recovered from his injuries. The mill ceased operations not too long after this, as it was not possible to ensure the business due to safety issues. With no guards and the amount of time it would take for the wheel to stop turning once the water flow was stopped, the operation was too dangerous to meet even 1950 safety standards. The mill fell into decline until part of it was converted into a dwelling in the 1980s. It was truly wonderful to be able to individually meet the island community and share stories despite the social limitations that 2020 put on all of us. We received Christmas cards from people we had only met a few days before, as well as a helping hand with heavy lifting and ideas for where to stay when we make our permanent move. By the end of our first visit, we had already begun to feel part of the community. With most of the ground floor cleared and some progress made on the middle floor, the mill started to look a little less crowded. It started to become easier to imagine how it could take shape as a family home once again. It's surprising how quickly these huge bulk bags fill up and how heavy they are to drag outside. We were able to borrow a tractor to move them from in front of the mill to the back out of the way, which saved a lot of effort trying to drag them by hand. It has been incredible to see all the positive responses and feedback on the first video introducing our project. If you haven't done so, I hope you will consider subscribing to follow along with the project and watch our progress in giving new life to the Watermill. We're trying to release a video each week, so make sure you turn on notifications for our channel.